What is going on, guys? And I hope you guys are doing well, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to Tiny Rig. Yes, I feel like the intro at this shop is always the same, but it should be the same because we are at Tiny Rig Co. But anyways, today we are here because we are going to be addressing my brakes. Just about a month and a half ago I was out in Colorado, and on the way there we had brake failure twice. We had brake failure going down the Utah Pass, and we also had brake failure going down the Colorado Pass. And that experience was not very pleasant. It is something that I've never experienced ever in my life with all the vehicles that I've owned. And it just, I mean, it wasn't nice. I mean, going down that huge pass in Colorado with these big semis going 80 miles per hour right next to you, and just, you guys know, it gets a little congested in that area, and not being able to brake, it was pretty scary. Now, it kind of lands on me just because when I got the canopy camper installed at Tiny Rig, they did suggest me upgrading my brakes because of the weight. But I did have some, or I do have, well, I don't know if the brakes are off or on yet, but I did have some R1 Concepts slotted rotors with the heavy-duty brake pads, and those were great. I mean, for the old setup that I had, never had an issue. I did Blackbird Pass, I did a bunch of awesome, gnarly trails, and never had an issue. The truck braked fine. And compared to the OEM brakes, those were a lot better. So realistically, it all lands on me because I didn't take their suggestion when installing the canopy camper. I should have just done it all in one shot. And I should know better. The more stuff you add to your truck, the more it affects the truck and the original components. The gearing, the braking, the suspension, all that stuff. So yeah, it's just one of those things, lesson learned. Next time, I should listen to the experts. Alright, so here we are. We have a Ford FX4 getting a canopy camper. We got Ryan working hard. We got my truck. We got some awning action going on. And if you haven't noticed, we did remove the wrap off the truck. So now it's back to white. I know a lot of you guys are tripping out because you probably didn't even know that the truck was white, but it is white. And the reason why we took the wrap off is because we did have a bunch of dents all over it, especially on this side. This whole entire section here was full of dents, including that fender up front. So what we did is we sanded it. Well, I didn't do it, my dad took care of it. And yeah, there's no more dents. I'm still debating if I want to wrap it and what color I want to wrap it. It's kind of hard to paint it. I wish I could paint it, but we can't because the canopy is already installed. It's fully sealed. So that would be a big mission to remove the camper to get the truck painted. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. What color you think I should wrap this? And maybe I should probably just go with the old school Busted B George lines. And maybe just leave it all white. Let me know. Alright, so we just got the brakes installed. First time driving it. You got Daniel behind the camera. Hello. Alright, so Jeff, which is the guy that installed the brakes, told me that there is a braking period of 500 miles. So I'm not gonna go too crazy, but we should be able to tell the difference right away, I would think.
feel a difference?
I thought it was gonna be softer.
So Jeff said he did a great job of bleeding them, which is a big part of a brake install, is correctly bleeding them.
Right.
One of the benefits of Powerbrake is that they're designed to be mated to each vehicle specifically, meaning you have a pump inside the vehicle, it's your master cylinder, that's providing brake fluid to each caliper.
Yeah.
So a lot of the other brake kits on the market are kind of a generic brake kit that they're just kind of throwing onto different vehicles. So Powerbrake has theirs specifically designed for each vehicle, mated with each master cylinder, so that your pedal feel should feel very factory. I always describe the pedal feel, and I'm curious if you feel the same way, like once you can do it, is that your truck just feels like kind of it did when you drove it off the lot. Right?
Yeah, it does, for sure.
But you've got, 1,000 pounds on the back of the truck at this point, and you've got 35-inch tires. Luckily, your truck has lightweight wheels.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of rotational mass, right? So I think the experience you had with brake fade was related to all the extra weight, the bigger tires, and just not having, the high performance brakes. And we talked about that before, right? Where I was telling you, like, dude, you're gonna want brakes, especially the way that we go out and drive sometimes.
And of course, I didn't listen because I'm stubborn.
Yeah. So George never listens to me the first time. It always takes a few attempts. But like I said, it's, you're gonna step on your brakes in this thing with these new brakes, and it's gonna stop. It's gonna feel like it should. But if you're driving in your neighborhood and kids playing basketball in the driveway and a ball comes out, and you step on the brake for like an emergency, it's gonna be a holy crap moment. Like, these things really, really work.
Yeah.
But that happens off road too, right? Where sometimes you're on sand or something like that, and it's hard to stop.
Right.
So, I mean, for the break-in period, right? I don't want you to do like a slam on the brake test.
Right.
But if you, George is just over here driving on the wrong side of the road, people.
Yeah, but you can just tell the big difference already. And I'm not even.
Like, get on it, slam on them pretty good right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everything in his camper just probably flew around.
It stops, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm stoked, man. After that experience going down Colorado, I knew that I had to do something about it. And we did.
Yeah, it's scary, dude. Like, it's
You had a similar experience, right?
Yep. So was going down Mount Whitney. And it's big switchback, tallest mountain in the lower 48, and I just had my foot all the way to the floor, and that was with actually a pretty darn light setup that was on my truck. So I just think the Tacoma brakes overall, with heavy wheels and tires, like, you're gonna feel it, but it's scary, right? You gotta, like, if that does happen, you gotta throw it into sport mode, and shift to limit it so that your engine's doing the braking, which you should be doing anyways on big grades.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm glad it's safer. Like, that's a big thing, right? Is like, we always do these upgrades to our trucks to make it more comfortable, to make it look better, and sometimes the most practical stuff that we need isn't kind of the cool thing and the bling that everyone wants to see.
Yeah.
But it's like, DeLon actually talks about it all the time. DeLon's one of the owners of Powerbrake, and it's one of those things where, like, customers warn their wives of, like, driving their truck, right? And it's like, hey, I've got this truck that's heavy, and you're used to driving it all the time, but if you're telling your wife, like, hey, remember, it's a big heavy truck, it's probably not set up correctly, right? I mean, that's, if you're bottoming out your suspension all the time, it's a similar thing, right? Like, it's just unsafe.
And Gisela, I always tell her the same thing. Like, I don't like her driving my truck because it's heavy. Like, the distance, I mean, just driving it on the freeway, the safety. I think now I would feel more comfortable, but I still want to test it myself before letting her. Yeah,
and honestly, like, from your experience, right? Like, I still have, like, and it's like with the new truck I have too, like, with the cruise control that, like, stops for you, right? Like, I have, like, PTSD from, like, the truck not stopping. And so it took a long time for me to get over with my Tacoma, but the first time that I had to slam on the brakes with the power brakes,
it stopped.
Like, Yeah, like the stress cut in half, and it's the moments on the freeway, right, where you're going 70 and someone decides to cut someone off, and so
Yeah.
you go from 70 to like 5, you know, in a very short period of time, and this big freaking truck with steel bumpers on it is about to total a truck in front of you or a car in front of you, and all of a sudden your truck's just gonna stop. And you're
Not
gonna be
not even the highway, dude. Like imagine going down Black Bear Pass and your brakes feel like that. Like what do you do? I was thinking about that earlier when I was watching Jeff and Solo. I'm like, dude, imagine that would have happened on a crazy trail where it's steep as heck.
like, open your door and jump.
Pretty much. Oh man. Well, the good thing is this thing's insured. Everything's insured. If you haven't insured all your stuff, insure it because you just never know.
This is how you know you're getting old, when you're talking about insurance and safety.
All right, dude. Well, thank you.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you got them.
And I don't have to plug this guy, but I'll do it anyways. Instagram, Tiny Rig, Westminster, California, Tiny Rig. I'll put all their info down below. And yeah, dude, it's an
Cool.
awkward vibe. But
I hate being on camera. Sorry, guys. It's just weird.
thank you.
All right, man.